Season 1 of the Diet Dr. Pepper series is complete. We ran the Gen 4 cars on iRacing for a 23 race schedule, following the real-life season of 2003, doing all the races with no repeat tracks, with a couple substitutions, and I think overall it was a massive success. So this video is going to be kind of a recap of the season, looking at some stats overall of how it went, and some driver stats. And there's also going to be some cash prizes. I'm going to be giving away $25 gift cards to iRacing for some individuals. And don't worry if you weren't the best or the champion or anything like that. These aren't going to go to the top guys. It's going to go to random draw based on some different statistics that you may not expect. So stay tuned for that. But before we dive deeper into that, I want to give a quick another congratulations to our champion, Colton Tyndall, on his absolutely amazing 2023 campaign. 6-month schedule, running 23 races with us in the league. Absolutely dominating fashion, just under 3,500 points, 5 wins, 11 top 5s, 18 top 10s in a 23 race schedule. Pretty incredible. Average finish of 8th. He led almost 700 laps, 8 poles. Incredible how many poles he got, and he had actually 5 in a row at one point in the middle of the season, and just under 93% of all the laps complete. He ran every single race with us. Big thank you to him for joining and having some great racing, and just being here and supportive the whole time. Always fun racing with him. Big congratulations to him again, and well deserved for sure. Now I want to show some general statistics about the season as a whole, and I'm a big stats guy. Apologies if you're not. I understand not everybody is, and there's going to be a little bit of stats in this video, but I think it's interesting to look at, and it's good to get some perspective on how the season went, and I think these stats all show it's a big success. So here is for the whole season. We ran 23 races, 3,440 laps total. We had an average of 34 drivers every race, which is pretty awesome. Pretty much a full field every week for over 6 months, which is fantastic. Just way more than I expected. We actually had some races at the beginning of the season completely fill up with 43 plus drivers, and then some that couldn't make it had to qualify their way in. But that stopped pretty early. We had some participation drop off, so everyone who joined was able to make it after that point. 104 unique drivers total, which is awesome. A lot of people were interested in running, at least at some point in the season, which is very fun. Even if you only ran one race, I'm super grateful that you even showed interest at all. And I know there were some people that wanted to join but never did because the time slot didn't work for them, and I apologize for that. But I had to do what worked best for me. Moving forward, I'll try and switch up time slots as much as I can. I can't do a whole lot of difference, but we'll figure some other stuff out to try and get some other people a chance to join. And we also had 9 different winners over the course of the season, which is pretty cool. A lot of the fast guys that joined are really fast and dominate pretty much every track, every kind of track. But to have 9 different winners, it's pretty awesome in that as well. That's a good number of people that got a chance to win. Average strength of field, 2,855, almost 3K for an average, which is pretty amazing. Some of the later races in the season got really high. We had like a 3,100 at some point, or even a couple times. I think Phoenix might have been the biggest one. We can take a look at that in a minute too. And we had an average of 4 cautions every race, which seems like a lot. If you go back, if you've watched the season, it seems like we've had very few cautions. But that is the average over the whole season, so there's some races that had quite a bit more than others, and we've actually had 4 races that were caution-free completely. which is pretty amazing. Running half distance the whole season, half distance of what they ran in real life in 2003. I just went off exactly what that season was and just did half the number of laps for each race. So that is pretty cool based on that. And that's a rundown of kind of how the season went, looking at the numbers, and just amazing. Just really, really grateful. Now, the whole point of this league and of this season was to have fun. It was all about having fun races. It wasn't about making a mentality of absolutely you have to win or nothing else matters. The whole race is just about having fun, and the whole season was just about going out and having fun. Good, hard, clean racing with everyone around you that you can trust, where we're not under caution, you know, the whole time like you are in officials. So winning is just a bonus. The championship for Colton, that's just a bonus. I didn't want to put cash prizes guaranteed on anything like that because I didn't want people to get really, really frustrated or mad that they have a win taken away from them, or they slightly lose the championship, or, you know, have some contact that takes them out. I did not want any frustration with that by attaching a cash prize to anything big and any stats or anything like that that could affect the way people drive in the season. Colton actually suggested earlier during the season that I wanted to base some cash prizes randomly off some statistics I was tracking, and he suggested that I choose the stats before the season is over and before you know, anyone actually knows, and then not reveal what the stats are until this video. And that way people aren't going out there trying their absolute best and then getting angry if they can't get it by a slight amount. Like, if I make a stat pay $25 for getting the fewest incidents, I didn't want people to have that in their head and then they accidentally get into a wreck and then just get really, really angry. You know what I mean? Not that anyone that joined the league would do something like that, but I didn't want to set up that mentality to happen, if that makes sense. So that was a really good suggestion for Colton, to have like a award ceremony video like this with some stats and some prizes that are not known to anybody, that are just known to me, so we keep the fun, just for fun mentality for the whole season intact. And I actually took that a step further. So I made a big list of all the stats that I'm going to be tracking, or that I tracked through the season, and I'm going to randomly select one of the stats to award drivers for. I'm going to use a random number generator, and I'm thinking that the top 3 drivers are going to get a $25 iRacing gift card for the random stat that gets chosen. Now here's a list of all the stats that I've tracked. You see we got 25 different ones, which is pretty crazy. We got number of races run, we got total incidents. I'm thinking maybe highest and lowest. I should probably add that, shouldn't I? No, let's not. I want to award the best out of this season. I want to reward you trying your best and not having a bunch of wrecks. So we'll just do the lowest total incidents, the incidents per race lowest, the total laps you've done, and I have wins, top 5s, top 10s on there, average finish, first half average finish, second half average finish, the person that had the highest difference where your second half average finish was way better than your first half average finish, and then the most consistent where the average finish across the whole season really didn't change. I calculated the standard deviation of that, in fact, and that's pretty interesting. Number of laps in the top 10, total percent of the number of laps in the season that you drove in the top 10, and then if you didn't run every race, the personal percent of laps in the top 10. So out of all the laps you completed, how big of a percentage of those were in the top 10. I've got biggest mover, so how big of the positions you gained over the course of the season were, and then the smallest mover, how little positions you gained. So like if you start 13th and finish 13th, or as close to that throughout the whole season, something like that, if you know what I mean. Total positions gained, so who gained the most. I actually know that I led that category because I qualified so bad and way lower than my race pace, and I gained so much throughout the whole season. Number of laps led, most laps led for a win, least laps led for a win, fastest race lap, fastest pole lap, number of poles, and points. So as you see, wins and top fives and points are on here, so that would award the champion or a winner with a $25 gift card or something like that. But it's a random chance if that category gets chosen. And we're going to choose that category here in just a second. And I think the top 3 in any of these categories that get selected will each receive a $25 iRacing gift card. And if I'm in the top 3, I'll just skip down to the next person, obviously. And you'll also notice I have a minimum of 7 races ran for the statistics. So I had to do a cutoff, and I actually took the average number of races run throughout everybody. So there was some people that ran like 20 or more, or some people that only ran 1. So I just took the average of everybody, how many races they ran, and that was 7. So if you have run 7 races or more, I count you in the running here. So I didn't want one person to run 1 race and get like an average finish of 2 and have the best average finish, but with only 1 race. Like, that doesn't seem valid. Does that make sense? Did all that make sense? I hope I'm not being too rambly or too boring for this. I'm trying to explain myself concisely, but I don't have a script and I'm just kind of winging it. So I hope you're bearing with me here. Let's go pick which statistic we're going to track. Okay, here we are at random.org, the random number generator that we actually used during the Watkins Glen race to randomly throw yellows. We got 25 different stats to look at. We're going to generate a number between 1 and 25, and this will determine randomly which statistic we look at for the top 3 to win our cash prizes. Number 15. Number 15. Let's see which one that is. Let me switch this back. Number 15 is personal percent of laps taking place in the top 10. So the person with the highest percentage in the top 10, the top 3, the highest percentage of the top 10, will be what that statistic is. And here are the spreadsheets that I've been keeping track with throughout the whole season. Everybody loves spreadsheets, right? So I've got all the people that have ever joined a race in the season sorted alphabetically here. And this is my incidents per race page. So after every race, I just go in here and put how many incidents you had during the race. You can see lots of different colors and stuff going on here. And at the top, I've actually kept track of the average for the whole race. So Daytona, the drivers averaged 6.58 incidents for the race. And then I have your individual averages here. So if you're interested in that, you can pause it, see what your average is. We can take a look at mine real quick. Actually had 2.17 incidents per race on average for a total of 50 incidents over the 23 races that I ran. So that is pretty cool. One person I want to highlight is Tyler. He had a very, very clean season running 20 races. 0.65 average incidents per race. Pretty incredible. Only 13 incidents over 20 races. And these are long races. It's very easy to get an incident with how long these races are. Like an hour and a half to 2 hours. That is a long time. And to do that 20 times and only get 13 incidents, that's a pretty great job. That's someone I've been keeping track of. Caden, 0.83. That's a really low number. 12 races for him. And anybody else jump out at me? Colton, let's take a look at his. 1.48, very, very clean as well. He's ran the whole season, 23 races there. Chad, 1.95, really good. If you're under 2, that's really good, because any car contact is basically a 4X automatically. Leighton, 1.43. Allen, 1.25. So, really good there. Here are my laps complete. I kept track of how many laps you completed in each race. And here's the total laps for the season. There's a percentage based on the total laps of the season. So if you didn't run every race, that hurt your percentage, obviously. But I'm pretty happy with mine. Dan also 99.53% of laps complete. He really missed only like 16 laps for the whole season. Great job to him. I think he beat me, actually. Well, let's see. 99.3, so I am just slightly below him after I had some wrecks later on in the second half. So really great job to him. Colton is up here as well. We noted him in the first championship slide, 92.76 of all the total laps complete. He only ran 28 at Atlanta after wrecking out, so that's really where that hurt him. So that is laps complete. Pretty cool. Yeah. Then we went on and I did finishes, so I kept track of all the finishes. I've got the total average finish for the whole season for you. The first half average finish, how you finished in the first half, how you finished in the second half, the difference between the two. So if this is a positive number, then you improved on your average finish. And some of these guys obviously didn't run either the first half or the second half, run a race in either of those. But it's still cool to look at, especially for the people that did a bunch of races. Like a Leighton, his total average finish was 9.3. First half average finish for Leighton was 9.2. Second half was 9.4. So remarkably consistent. Standard deviation of 5.14 for every finish. So that the lower that is, the more consistent your finishes are over the course of the season. So that's pretty interesting. We can take a look at mine. I had 9.5 average total. First half was 9.5. Second half was 9.6. I was pretty consistent there. Really, that came from these last like 5 races here. 8th, and then 6th, 7th, 3rd, 7th, 3rd, 7th. That's pretty consistent. But the first few races to start second half, 17th, and then we did 4th at Iowa, 15th, 16th, 22nd. So I was doing much worse in the second half once it first started, but the remaining half of the second half, remaining quarter of the season, I was doing pretty good there. That brought my average back down. No wins for me, but I did have 8 top 5s and 15 top 10s. Let's look at John. He had 4 wins, 13 top 5s, 16 top 10s. He had a 6.4 average finish. Really good. With a standard deviation of 7.21. Anybody else? Anybody else that I want to look at? Andrew with a 9.4, really good as well. 1 win for him. 14 top 10s, 7 top 5s. That's pretty cool. And before we get to laps in the top 10, since that's what we picked with this, I'll take a look at the biggest movers. So this is the positions gained for each race, and I've got the person who gained the most positions in a race highlighted in green. So that is for each race, and you can see all this goes in for that all the way to Homestead. And if your total is around 0, that means you really stayed the same pretty much throughout the season. Remarkably consistent finishing. I led the category in total number of positions gained, and I think average for the people that ran the most races. Well, maybe not average. I on average gained 7 positions each race, but I definitely led the total 160 positions gained total from the season. So that's based on where you start or where you qualify and then where you finish. And since I can't qualify worth a darn, I'm always starting way in the back and I'm climbing up through the field, and that's why mine is so high. But you go down here and look at Colton, who is a C number, or a C name, so he's going to be at the top, not the bottom. He has negative 81 positions, but that's because he qualified so well, so there wasn't a ton of room for him to go up. So he lost some, just a little bit every race, unless he won, because he started from the pole so often. So on average, he lost 3.5 positions a race. But when you're starting so far up front, that is easy to do. So that's not. These aren't really tracking how good of a driver you are. It's tracking how well you qualify based on how well you finish. And I am not very good at it for qualifying anyway. All right, let's take a look at the laps in the top 10. Up here, I've got the number of drivers who completed a lap in the top 10 for each race, which is pretty cool. We had 20 different drivers complete a lap in the top 10 at Homestead. So, not the full field, obviously. Not everyone gets up to the top 10 at any point, but if you got up there at any time, pit cycle, or if you were just running there, you got a lap, and I kept track of it here. So here's the laps complete. That's just coming from the other sheet. I pasted it in here for each driver. So you have the personal percent of laps in the top 10. So that's based on laps complete. So you see John. Let's look at John. He's a good example because he was so good. 89.88% of the laps he did were in the top 10. He had 2,700 laps, or almost 2,800 laps total ran in the season, because he only ran 19 races, and 2,500 of those laps were in the top 10. But that's only 73% of the total laps, 3,400. But it's kind of cool that the random thing suggested doing the personal percent, because that will award you even if you didn't run every race. Like if you ran total, people who ran every race are obviously going to have a much better chance of having a higher total because they'll have done more laps. So, to look at the top 3, we're going to go over here and sort this by that category. Right there. And then we'll do sort range, D, category D, and we'll do Z to A, which will be the highest numbers at the top. And this is just the people who had the 7 races minimum. So it looks like it is going to be John. He does have the highest. John, Tracy, and Colton will each be receiving a $25 iRacing gift card. Now that was completely random. I didn't just pick the fastest guys. Obviously, the fastest guys end up winning the gift cards, but I didn't set out with the goal to just pick the best people who were dominating the season. I wanted to give everyone a chance, and I think I did. It just happens that this is the statistic that we're going off of for the number generator. I'm all the way down here in 20th for personal percentage in the top 10 with a 50.23. So congrats to these 3 guys. They're going to get a top 10 or a $25 gift card to iRacing. But also, to try and award people for just participating, I'm going to give one random driver based on nothing, just alphabetical order, a $25 gift card. So a total of 4 $25 gift cards awarded. And these 3 guys are out of the running, and so am I. So we will look at that. We are back at random.org looking to generate another number for the final remaining $25 gift card, randomly based on no statistic or anything like that, just a random draw for participating, and a big thank you. And this is going to be also a minimum 7 races, so this is kind of just rewarding you for participating and being a part of the league and just coming and having fun with us. And totally random, so if it lands on me or John, Tracy, or Colton, we'll re-roll because they're not eligible, obviously, and I'm not eligible. So let us generate a number here. 92, so that's later in the alphabet. We'll see if that is a person that's done a minimum of 7 races as I fumble around here. 92 will be Shane. That's awesome. 13 races for Shane, so he gets the final $25 gift card. That is awesome. Great job to him. Good to see him get it. Always fun racing with him. So that is it, I think. Shane, Colton, John, and Tracy get a $25 iRacing gift card for being a part of the league and for leading this random category that I've been keeping track of throughout the whole season. It's been a lot of fun. I love doing stats stuff and going back and looking at all the races and reflecting on the races and adding up the numbers has really been enjoyable for me. So congrats to those 4 guys, and congrats to Colton again for the championship. And overall, I think it was a big success. So huge appreciation to you guys for watching, supporting, joining, everything. I know I've said that a whole bunch, but I don't think I can say it enough for how much it meant to come in here and have great races and have people watch them. Just incredible, and I'm so lucky to have been able to do that, and I'm just so happy about it. And that's why I wanted to give back a little bit and give thanks. So keep in mind, moving forward, there may be prizes like this, but it's going to be random. So you're not going to know, and I'm not going to know, what the prizes are going to be awarded for. The only thing you can do is show up to the races and join us and have fun. And that's the only incentive for that, and to go race as best as you can. Like, a lot of those stats are, you know, really good things you want to be doing, and also just being a good driver, lowest incidents per race, you know, stuff like that. Most consistent finisher. So even if you're not winning every race, you can be the most consistent where you are, or the cleanest, or anything like that, and you can still have a chance to win. And plus, there's the randomness. So only requirement is you run the races with us and have fun, and that's why I wanted those prizes to be. I almost forgot to mention, in celebration of the first season being such a massive success, I have suggested that we replicate what they did in 1998 and go run an exhibition race at Twin Ring Motegi Oval. Such an awesome, fantastic track, one of my absolute favorites. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go do half the distance that they ran in 1998, which was 201 laps. So we'll be doing 100 laps at Twin Ring. That is going to be next Thursday, December 7th, during week 13. So I thought doing it during week 13 would give people an actual race to do, since there usually isn't a whole lot to do. And it'll be Thursday, same time slot that we ran for the season. So if you ran the league with us throughout the season, you're very much encouraged to come have a fun race with us, totally for fun. Just a great combo, I think. I know the ARCA car is fantastic there. I'm sure the Gen 4 is just going to be just as good or even better. So I'm really excited to do that. And here's a picture I made. You can see that. That's actually modeled off one of the actual posters or magazine covers, I think, for the 1998 race. I kind of copied everything just with the modern stuff. So that'll be the Diet Dr. Pepper 250, 100 laps at Twin Ring. If you want to run that with us, that'd be really, really fun. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Time, December 7th on Thursday. Looking forward to that. And thanks for watching, and thanks for joining the races if you have. And hopefully we'll see you Thursday, December 7th. And I think that's it.